Let's dive in, shall we? Fly high, dive low, as you like to say.
Damn
So
right.
we'll start with that low. Unfortunately, let's start with where things finished here because I mean, I saw like a litany of emotions across your face, man, last night. There was sort of like resignation. There was maybe a bit of understanding because you had clocked even through that afternoon and evening, like something doesn't feel right. There was
Yeah.
very clearly like a charged look that you gave to Mary when that third vote came in, where it was probably all settling in, and there was, from our perspective at least, no words for your fellow castaways on the way out. What would you say in that moment was the most prevalent emotion you had upon getting blindsided?
There was a lot that was going through my head, honestly, and it wasn't even betrayal. Like it was just like I don't want to sound too egotistical, but like I knew what was going on pretty much with everybody in the game, and I knew, in a manner of speaking, that I was going home. So it was like, ah, oh, shit, I'm right about this too. Like it was just one of those moments, like and so you couldn't help but feel resentment because I truly feel as if my allies got it wrong in that moment, and I think the edit reflect that because they were manipulated by Shaheen and Kyle, and I was the one who was trying to fight for us to keep the alliance not only together, but once I found out that it wasn't together, protect my other allies that I knew were loyal to me until obviously they weren't. So it was it was just tough because I truly believed like Joe and Eva had good intentions. Like Joe, like he's like, I'm gonna give you the sword and we're gonna duel it out rather than a knife to the back. And I believed him. I did. And I think maybe at the time he truly meant it. So to him, it was like, man, like that look was, I thought you were different. Like I truly
Hmm.
did. Like that was that look is like, this was supposed to be our season, the season where we don't manipulate, we don't backstab, and here you are just falling in line with everyone else and being played, and it was tough.
Well, to that point, I mean, this got brought up a lot last week, but yeah, you're someone who was looking to push against the grain here to make this season different from all others. And look, you even had in the moment people like Chrissy, like Star, like Camilla pushing back against this. So, talk to me about sort of your response to that in the moment reaction because listen, you talked about how you obviously had a lot of stakes in winning that $1 million. Here you have people kind of openly saying at tribal council like, yeah, but the way you're expressing yourself right now, I don't know if you have my vote in the end.
Are you talking about the moment I had with Chrissy?
You could, yeah, talk about that, or even like when
Yeah,
Star and Camilla in this most recent tribal council, right, where they're basically saying like, yeah,
it's
with the way you're saying things, you're going to the jury. It's not a great way to make people feel.
no, and this is where I'll disagree. And I love Camilla and I love Star. Like I said, I love everybody in my cast, to be honest, and they're all incredible people. Like I'm very humbled just to be in part of season 48 because everybody's incredible. We truly are a good cast, and people don't understand is like a lot of people go into Survivor and they pretend to be someone that they're not. That was not my strategy. Is I just wanted to be myself, and people are going to accept that or they're not, right? And so I created genuine connections, and everybody was worried about jury management. Jury management. Jury management means you're being fake as hell, right? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to curse, so curse myself, but
You're
like,
good.
and so to me, like when I pushed back on Chrissy, like Chrissy was being emotional, but she was being real. And that's the relationship that I had with Chrissy. And so I pushed back as someone who respected her. Like I'm not going to sit there and try to pretend to be someone that I'm not. Everyone else is doing that. Everyone else is being fake. I was being myself. And Chrissy and I had a quote unquote argument because she thought she saw me as her number one, basically. And she opened up and she was crying at the water well before we went to tribal council because she saw that her time was coming. And I got teary eyed myself because I did
Hmm.
truly care for Chrissy. Like we had a great relationship. And so having that moment on tribal council was me being a friend, me being a family member, like me being someone who appreciates and respects her. And I'm not going to sit there and blow smoke up her butt, like it was me just being real with her to the point where again, like I truly, and she told me as much. Like she would have voted for me if I made it to the final three, and that's what people don't understand. Absolutely, and it's gonna
Wow.
look because again, it comes down to that's the game that I was playing is just being myself, being open and honest, and that goes a long way with someone like Chrissy. Camilla's worried about jury management and just riding under the radar, right? And so that she's going to say those things, and that might make sense in a different season for a different person. But to Chrissy and for Cedric, like they admitted as much that I had their vote if I made it to final three. So like again, I was playing the game in a different way, and Camilla, who's sitting from her comfortable chair on the jury, or not the jury, but the tribal council at that moment can't see that my game's different from hers. And so she thinks this is poor jury management when this is my game is actually consistent with having that quote unquote argument because I'm just being myself.
So you mentioned before how, you certainly had some things. You were making eyeballs, sussing out some dynamics, and one of the big ones we saw was, at least from our perspective, you were a bit onto the Kyle and Camilla of it all. One
A
of the things that I
bit?
sort
Oh,
of
come on, give me a
I
little bit
was
more
gonna
credit than
say.
that.
Well, no, of course. Well, what I want to get into is like when did that seed start to get planted? Was it as simple as
Yeah.
Kyle's overextending himself, or because you spent a lot of time with them on Siva, were you picking stuff up with them even early on in those days?
So the Siva, so it didn't really show it in the edit, but Kyle and I were like ride or dies number one since like day one, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, and so and there it alludes to that because with the argument that I had to Kyle and I in the jungle is like, I first told him like, hey man, like you're my number one, right? Ride or die. Like I'm not voting your name out. Because that was the truth until obviously the swap when he got pretty close with Camilla. And so come merge, there were just little things here and there. Like it's really hard to pinpoint anything because again, like I'm pretty good at reading people. And there wasn't anything particular that he did. There was just a little bit, there's a few mannerisms, a few comments that he made that sort of like, this is weird. Like, and I obviously knew that after a swap, there's probably new relationships that are being formed. And I knew that him and Camilla coming, they already had a pretty good connection. And so after that, like coming to the merge, there were just little things here and there that tipped my suspicion of him. And so once I actually confronted him in that moment, it was, I mean, you can see it in my face. Like I knew I had lost him.
Mm.
And so, yeah, like I would almost bet money that he was working with Camilla for sure in that moment. And now my job I knew was to protect the alliance members that I knew were loyal to me.
So one of those people, to your point, your fellow sword fighter in Joe. And again, what's so interesting about Survivor, right, is like sometimes, to your point, you have the right read. It just depends on who you're talking with and what the right pitch is. And we see in that one particular scene from last episode, you approach Joe and you bring up this fact of like, well, you might have gone against your word in going after Chrissy instead of Camilla. And from our perspective, I can't even imagine from yours, it looked like that really touched a nerve. And he, I felt that you were manipulating him. So talk to me about that
Yeah.
intention. And did you expect that reaction from him?
At that point, I didn't even care what I expected because again, I knew I was right.
Mm.
And if I was an equal to Joe, then this wouldn't be a hard conversation to have, right? Like that's the thing is like I knew that for some reason he was being manipulated by Kyle and Shaheen, and he didn't respect me enough to truly follow through with his word because there was what it didn't show, and this is the one thing that really kind of I wish they did is we were at the reward. It was Joe, Eva, or sorry, Joe, Eva, Mary, and myself, right? And we're at the reward and we're talking, and obviously, like I have a strong suspicion about Shaheen. There were other things, little things here and there, and then I had a suspicion about Kyle with Camilla, and so I wanted to put the vote on Camilla, and I was almost guaranteed that I was right, and so I told Joe and Eva, I'm like, look, this is what's going to happen. Okay, we're going to put the vote on Camilla. Shaheen and Kyle are not going to like it, right? Because they're working with Camilla. They want to keep Camilla in the game. They're going to initially go with it, but you're going to see that they're uncomfortable. And then they're going to agree to go with Chrissy for the most of the day. And then right before tribal council, one of them or both of them is going to come to you and ask to switch it back to Camilla. And you need to stand your ground in that moment. And that's exactly what happened. I predicted their exact behavior. Joe promised he would stand his ground, and he didn't do that. He didn't.
Mm.
And so, of course, like I predicted their exact behavior. I knew that they were working together. And then I had an ally who, even I gave them the information on a silver platter, still went back on his word. So, yeah, I was feeling pretty frustrated. Like, who wouldn't? At that point, like, my game's pretty much sunk if I can't rely on my, you know, two good ally members. Like, what am I going to do at that point? Like, it's and completely change my game. I could have maybe, but I don't know, man. It was a tough situation to be in, and you can't push too hard, but also at the same time, like that's a pivotal vote. And if they're working, if the two of them, Shaheen and Kyle, are working with Camilla, and they grab a couple other people like Mitch and Star, our game's sunk. Like one of us is going home. So of course I'm going to fight. I'm not just going to lay over and not do anything about it. Like what are you going to do? And so you push as much as you can. This is why obviously the vote was Chrissy in the end because what am I going to do? Like I can't push too much. And there are people that will say I even pushed as much as I did. That was a negative thing. And again, like, what are you going to do when you lay it out clear as day what people are going to do, and they still go back on their word and don't believe you? Like, what are you going to do?
Well, one person that was pushing alongside you, not against you, through this final vote was Mary, which, yeah, was this sort of like dynamic that we saw a
Yeah.
little bit of it in the swap, where we get a confessional of you saying, like, you have a lot of respect for what she, was able to survive on Vula. It's clear you two formed a tight bond to the point where, one of your fellow castaways, maybe making these random, allusions that I imagine were not necessarily true. But talk to me about your relationship with Mary and how much was she
Yeah.
going to be in your end game plans for your ideal, strong six making it to the end?
So Mary, love Mary. Again, love everybody in my cast, but oh man, she basically like I felt really bad for Mary come swap. Like I just wanted to protect her. I didn't want her to send, go to tribal council, or if we did go to tribal council, like I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be her. And I told her that. I'm like, well, you've been through enough, like I got your back, basically. But Eva was the one that I really wanted to work with. She was the one that I saw an end game with. She was part of my, final three, final five, or whatever. Mary was not. But Mary, because of how I treated her, sort of like attached herself to me and like would not let go, basically. And I tried to keep her at arm's distance as much as I possibly could with the strong five. And I didn't want them to think that Mary and I were number ones. But I can only do so much to reinforce that when Mary's constantly at my side and saying things, and so it was difficult to navigate that. But Mary had a pretty good relationship with Eva because we were obviously on the swap. And then come merge, she did do her best to warm up to Joe or whatever. And so it wasn't like I was like, hey, Mary's in the alliance. It was sort of happens naturally, right?
Mm.
But truly, like when it was coming to the strong five, like I would always tell them, like, look, Mary's a number. And I meant it. But again, they didn't believe me. So what are you gonna do? But I truly like I tried my best to keep her at arm's length. And in front of her, it was always the strong six. And in front of them, it was always a strong five. And that was actually absolutely true. So if we got down to the final six, it was easily going to be Mary that we were going to vote out. Maybe not easily, of course, but because again, she was true to her word. She was loyal, unlike the other two. So who knows what would have happened after, a couple more votes because she was actually willing to trust me and believe me, and she had my back. And I have to respect that. And honestly, like that, I have so much respect for Mary because of that, unlike
Mm.
the others who it didn't even seem how much I was right or how much I predicted what would happen. They
Mm.
didn't care, but Mary did. And so I have a lot of respect for her.
So you were, of course, incredibly open throughout this season about your situation at home and how the $1 million meant so much to you. And look,
Yeah.
admittedly, there were some, I wouldn't even say discrepancies, but like there was one episode where you said you had a
Yeah.
girlfriend and one where
Yeah.
you said you didn't. So talk to
Yes.
me about, the situation, I guess, both on island and off as well. Obviously, you did not achieve the end goal. What is your situation now, both, I suppose, life-wise and romantically?
That was kind of weird. The edit did that to me. Basically, is like, we had broken up at one point in time. And so I think they showed me talking about, okay, we had broke up, but we got back together. We were dating again prior to me going out to the show. And unfortunately, everything I said on the island was 100% true. And as you can imagine, me sitting here having not won the $1 million, well, it didn't take long for her to hit the road again. So, yeah.
I'm sorry,
So,
man.
however, no, that's okay. It was a blessing in disguise. I, I'm living my dream. I'm out here in Ohio actually right now. I'm working as a jump pilot, and they're putting me in this house for pretty much free. They've been incredible. So I just did my first flights yesterday, flying skydivers, and yeah, so I'm working towards my goals, my dreams. I'm dating the most incredible woman in the world. Like she truly is amazing. Like I'm feeling really blessed right now. So even though I didn't win the $1 million, like everything has come of this so far has just been incredible. Like I truly feel humbled at this moment. So I'm
Yeah, I
feeling
mean
pretty
that
good about myself.
I mean, that's what we were talking about right there, right? You were like, well, I want the
Yeah.
$1 million so I can become a pilot, transition out of stunts and I can start a family. And look, the second goal, it's maybe a bit more of a long-term thing, but like to see how much your life has shifted even over the course
Yeah.
of like a year from when we talked last to now. That's awesome because I know that change takes a lot, man. And you made these big changes and it's clear that you're on a really great path to what you want at the end of the day.
You're making me tear up, man. Come on.
Oh.
It's not supposed to happen. um, but yeah, no, it's been it's been a lot. And yeah, I'm thankful for where I am now. So
Yeah.
for sure.
No, I mean, listen, your openness is something that I've always really prided you on from, the fact that you came in being like, listen, at one point, I didn't remember Jeff's last name, but like the fact that you were so open about your
Oh
history,
man.
about, your, again, to your
Yeah.
point, your honesty of what you wanted to pursue. I think it's a trait that is something that, to your point, sometimes pushes up against some of the tenets that we believe in Survivor, but is true to yourself. And I know it's been a roller
Yeah.
coaster on the island in your life with the fandom, but like it seems like you are having a ride right now, man. And I'm happy you're throwing those big buff
Yeah.
arms up in the air and screaming your head off.
I got you, man. I got you. I know. I should have gone to the gym and got a pump before these interviews, but it's fine. Not really a morning workout kind of guy, but I appreciate it, honestly. Like, seriously, I mean, this whole thing was incredible. Like, I truly am humbled to be a part of it. And I'm thankful to be a part of season 48 because I think we had a great cast.
Yeah, well, count yourself among the many there. It was always great talking with you, man. I'm so happy that you're doing so well. That means the world to me, and so it brings me
Appreciate it.
so
And
much
that
joy
means the
to know.
world to me, too. So thank
Yeah,
you for you to
so
say that.
always great to get the chance to talk. I'm sure this won't be the last time, but all the
No.
best to everything going on in Ohio, up in the air, on the ground, what have you. And thanks so much again, David. Always such a great chat.
Thanks, Mike, man. Appreciate it a lot.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
you have a great one.
Take it easy.
Bye.